Welcome back to MLG. That was such a treat to cast that game.
Yeah.
I love seeing games like that.
It was so extremely close.
Yeah.
I mean, that could have gone either way up until the last moment.
I mean, you know, you and I, and obviously Rob, JP, you guys know as well. When you cast a game and it's very clear that, you know, there was a crippling blow and now we're going to watch this guy struggle. It's like watching a lion eat a zebra. It's kind of painful and you cast it and, well, the game moves on. But this was a nail biter.
Yeah, it absolutely was, man.
I'm excited. And in fact, I'm so excited, I'm going to go ahead and start this game. Guys, make some noise for game number 2 between Oz and Alive. All right, the game is loading. I really hope this game can be as good as the last, and it's going to be a tough one to top. That was one of the best games I had ever casted. In the upper right, we have our Protoss player playing a solid game back there. I don't know if he could have done better. He needs your support in game number 2. Give it up for Oz. His opponent in the upper left, improving rapidly since the start of StarCraft 2. One of the best, if not the best, Terran vs. Terran player in the world, really blowing me away with his TVP. He is Alive. You know, it's really fitting we're casting a game with a player named Oz Artosis.
Why is that?
Well, because at MLG it just feels like the Wizard of Oz with this giant curtain here. I don't know, I had to say it. That's,
No,
all.
it's fine,
That's my
man.
story, guys. I
Yeah,
don't know.
It's a pretty good one. Thanks, bro.
Now
I have to say, you know, Alive, you have referred several times to his TVT, which is true. He's basically the best TVTer that we've seen so far.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But his TVP is really phenomenal as well. I mean, he did get knocked out by Genius in the GSL this past season. And but Genius is the trickiest Protoss ever.
Yeah, Genius is somebody who is designed to beat only good players.
Oz, I don't really look at him and say you are overly tricky. He has some tricks, he has some treats, but it's mostly just brute skill.
All right, we have the gas being taken. There's going to be a little bit of downtime here as they're setting up. Note, this map is a little bit different from most other maps in the sense that the entrances are pretty big. So you can get away with powering like, pretty hard. You know, going 3 gate or 4 gate or going 3 barracks. Doing a 1-1-1.
There's all sorts of cool builds that utilize the fact that sentries are not going to be as good on this map from both sides. If sentries aren't that good as Protoss, sometimes you want to put in a little bit of early aggression with more stalkers and zealots to dissuade them from actually attacking you. And then, likewise, Terran, you can do builds that, in fact, for instance, if they have Hellions in them, early Hellion builds, those can be really good against Protoss. But in this case, Alive is definitely going for a fast expansion and has just thrown up that command center at his natural.
Note that he actually scouted the cross spot first. That's actually a rare thing to do, but the reasoning behind that is that if the guy is if his opponent is in the farthest location from him, then he has a special build he does. If he's in the other 2 locations that are equally distant, then he has a different build.
Yeah.
So that's the reasoning behind that in case you're a bit curious about what the mindset was with that move.
Well, I expect Oz to go ahead and expand quite quickly here as well. But, you know, a 3-gate wouldn't be a bad idea either. We do have him killing off this SCV, and he looks like he's going to scout his opponent pretty late here. Zealot going cross-map right now to try to see if the Terran is down there. But, of course, he has not scouted the top left where Alive is now.
Should be a pretty long, dramatic game. This map, the 4th base is not as hard to get. It is a little bit tricky. But here's one factor that is very true, is the 5th base for the Terran is almost impossible.
Yeah, you know.
It is almost, it's freaking so hard to get the 5th base as Terran.
You really have to be everywhere on the map if you want to do that, or, you know, light harassment, even from like a single warp prism and maybe a single proxy pylon are going to rip apart your side expansion. So you have to be careful about that. We see a lot of planetaries for that reason on this map as well.
Yeah, and you know, one of the techniques that Protoss can do on this map is just drag the game out until eventually, you know, the Terran player starves. All right, nice control there, gets the Stalker. Now he's pushing in, he does retreat into the bunker. And the Zealot backs off, only losing what's mostly shields.
But he did lose that Stalker, unfortunately. Not really that worthwhile. And SCV actually scouting the main base of Oz. So now Alive with a ton of information, sees those 3 gates, realizes, okay, there's definitely a possibility of a pressure attack here. So he's going to have to be careful about that. He may want to add another bunker, or he may want to get active with these Marines again.
I got a question for you, because I've always, this has always bugged me, is that this expansion for the Terran, the minerals are actually not that far from, oh my god, he lost his Stalker. All right, going back to that initial question. The minerals are actually pretty close to where the bunkers are. But we always, at least in my experience when I cast, I see Terrans lose a lot to the Sentry Stalker Zealot push.
That's right.
Why do you think that is on this map? Is it because you have to go around that command center at the weird angle? I don't know.
Well, you know, yeah, it's kind of wide open at that natural where you can make a pylon on the low ground and, you know, run a single unit up there while you're attacking the front, warp in some units from behind, and suddenly you're flanking the bunker and hitting SCVs and just kind of making it messy all around for Terran. So I'd say that's pretty much the reason why.
Okay, the proxy pylon's been spotted. The probe does not get away. And obviously, Alive's going to be very happy with this because, well, actually, you know what? I think he can, he can just warp in. He can actually save the pylon. All right, Alive has to evacuate now.
Bring the rest of his Marines, but he's got to be careful because there's Protoss units coming from behind right now. Oz coming up the ramp.
Two more bunkers on the way to make a total of 3.
And those bunkers are pretty well timed. I'm not 100% sure he'll get them both up, though, and he does
target
down
that
SCV.
That bunker is not going to finish. It's actually just been canceled. Now, this is a sign of a good player. Notice the SCVs are in front of the supply depot. No, excuse me, the bunker. Well, they were until they moved him back. That's so that they can block the Zealots that would attack the front. It's harder to force field and get away with the bunker.
Well, if you force field the front, the Zealots can't attack.
Exactly.
And if you force field the back, the SCVs don't care. So it is a great move by Alive. He's playing very safely right now. And in fact, Oz looks like his aggression probably going to be done. He is in fact going Twilight Council and Double Forge very, very quickly. And, you know, this build, it's quite nice, but he's definitely going to add some gateways pretty soon here because Alive already has 2 medevacs, and they are on the way.
Okay, center control here for the Protoss, but that is not always the...
He didn't see it? Oh, wait, did he? He just saw it, I guess.
Well, I mean, it really depends on whether or not he was looking at the mini-map. But
just now sending that army home.
He is going to go back home, but there's the potential for a lot of damage to be dealt here.
And Alive does not quite realize that if he had dropped immediately, definitely could have gotten a lot of damage.
Yeah, he actually took too much time, so this is not as dramatic as it could have been. But there's really no way for Alive to know that. Alive is a very calculated player. It's why we've seen him slowly rise the ranks within the StarCraft 2 industry.
Yes. Well, 3 more gates being added for Oz, so that's exactly what he needs to do, going up to those 6 gates, getting that Blink 1-1 almost done. He's going to want to continue on his upgrade path.
And by the way, I think getting Blink right away like this is just so important. Yeah. Because you could punish medevacs. It's not as easy on this map, especially to sneak around with medevacs.
Yeah, Charge gets better in a little bit bigger numbers in this matchup anyways, because early on like this, those sentries are going to do the job of Charge for you. They're going to make it so that your Zealots actually can attack units. So it's a good order to go in. Alive, on the other hand, he's just going off of 5 racks right now, 2 with reactors, 3 with tech labs, making a bunch of medevacs as well. And this is one of the things Alive does very well. He's going to try to start doing some multi-pronged harassment.
Damn, look at Oz's defense.
It's quite good.
Sometimes with these really good Protoss players, they will just set up because they know that a Terran player will try to drop them. And from there, they will just snipe the medevac, get ahead, and then expand. And it looks like that's sort of what Oz is doing here.
And whoa! Please notice how he was stimming 1 Marine and running up towards the army. He needed to know the exact range of the army from his army.
It's really smart. 1 stim is, and a lost Marine is a lot cheaper than spending it on a scan. Or a mule. Oh, see, that's what I'm talking about.
Beautiful blink.
Now he can expand.
Yeah.
Now it's totally fine for him to expand. And I've seen recently some really good Protoss players do this where once they know that the Terran has just kind of been trained to keep dropping the Protoss, they just set up the perfect trap, and now Alive is down a little bit.
Look at this, some nice
Whoa!
force fields
But
going off.
He shot down the sentries.
Indeed, he
That
did.
was a little bit of a twist there. The Stalkers are coming up, and now it looks like actually Oz has to fight this. Well, I guess he does, and he can blink away, but he is going to possibly lose the rest of these Zealots, which really hurts.
Overcommittal there, Tasteless.
Yep.
At the same time, he tried to get in there with the other medevac, and those Stalkers did blink in and kill it off. Alive still pushing at the front. Those Zealots
That's a
trapped
lot of
behind.
medevacs.
No charge yet. 2-2 almost done. It seems like Oz did one of the only things that could lose him the game, and Alive is punishing
I
him
think
for
he's
it.
going to be okay when the Zealots come out.
He is, but he
I'm
could have
s-
had
now,
so
see,
many more units right
Oz
now.
could have chased that and gotten the medevacs. He could have blinked right on top of that.
Well, you know, I feel like when he was in the center there, that was a little bit greedy. 2-2 was almost done, charge was almost done, and he attacked with all his stuff right before that. And that's normally one of your weakest times. You've invested so much money and so much time in these upgrades, and to attack right before they're done defies logic.
Well said. Although Oz did get those medevacs in the back, he's going to get his third base up a little bit later, and he's actually behind. Losing those sentries was pretty big. This is the phase where he wants to get Templars, and you need some amount of sentries. They're not as important on this map as they are in some, but still. Okay, so the rocks have been destroyed, and the Nexus will now go down.
Well, third base for Alive has finished. The SCV train on its way. And it looks like it's time for Oz to start moving out a bit. Psystorm almost done. He has a good amount of High Templars with his army. And for Alive, we have absolutely no ghosts. But the Mobius reactor is on the way. We are going to have a small timing where there is no EMP in play at all. And Psystorms can be so powerful.
I need to correct something. I'm sorry. The Protoss never actually took a third phase. I was positive after the destruction of the rocks. That actually may be a ploy. You can actually, hold that thought. Getting the medevac. All right, before he tries to go around, let me point out what happened there, because it's a really smart move. If you make a pylon and put a probe at that location, and they scan it and see it, they are going to assume that a Nexus is going to go down there right away. Then you can push out immediately. So delaying that, I might have caught the Terran off guard. Now, let's see if he can close in here. This is going to be a tough position to reinforce. They're pretty far away from the pylon.
Oh my.
I don't know.
Ghosts are just popping out. This is his last chance to get free storms, and there we go. Oh, and the ghosts are out. Some nice snipes going down, but some pretty decent size storms as well. Now, if this was a planetary, this attack probably could not be happening right this second, but Alive wants that extra economy. We'll see if that is going to cost him.
As you can see, the medevacs still have a little bit of energy left, but those are some pretty bruised Marines and Marauders. He does blink away.
Really nice micro there by Alive, despite some storms, and despite Oz having 2-2 against just the +1 attack of Alive.
Oh, good point.
He does hold him off there.
You know, if that expansion wasn't in such an obscure location, I think he could have taken it out, but there's really not an easy way to reinforce that location. So, good decision making there by Oz.
Well, now I feel like Alive in a very good position. Oz still with no robotics tech, so he's relying basically for his splash damage on Archons and any Psystorms he can get off. But Alive has a decent number of ghosts, and he is scanning a lot to make sure that he can hit his EMPs.
As you can see, it looks as though there's a little bit of posturing going on. Obviously, Alive is more than aware that there's this giant Protoss army outside of his base, but it looks like he may have baited him into a bad position here. He's moving up. Nice size storms coming down here, but a beautiful EMP on the Stalkers and the Templars. This is a
Let's get
tough
a few
position.
storms off here, but that is a lot of Archons. A flank coming in with some Marines from the side. In fact, they take out an Archon. This army taking a ton of damage. Those Marines and Marauders getting very low on health right now, but the Archons as well. The Archons get cleaned up, and now we have only Stalkers left, and he's definitely going to have to run away now.
Wow, that was a really nice hold there by Alive. It's interesting to see the decision there for the Protoss to actually go in that way instead of through the back door, but it looks like he was pretty sure the sandwich wouldn't be that bad. It turns out it was. Alive is really sort of like Marine King. He's just controlling his units so well that he's winning some fights he probably shouldn't be.
Yeah, that's quite true. We have now a supply lead for Alive. He's up about 15 supply. Moving out some medevacs, see if he can get some more harassment going. But Oz is on top of it. He understands the timings and flow of this game after attacks like that. He knows that drops should be incoming. In fact, the High Templar's coming up for some feedbacks. Not a lot of energy on those, but that's okay. They can't heal any now, and those Stalkers will easily clean up the first one.
Nice denial there. And it looks like Protoss is now going to take a fourth base. Okay, we have a drop over here. And again, another drop deflected. Now, remember what I was talking about earlier? It's kind of hard to get a fourth base on this map, but if you're Terran, it's basically almost impossible to get a fifth base.
Yeah.
We could go into that situation.
Yeah, it's definitely a
It's
possibility.
definitely possible. So the longer this game goes, as long as Oz stays keeps it together, the better it's going to be for him.
Well, right now we have Oz just reinforcing the center, getting that 3-3, and ooh, he was going to land at the probable fourth base of Oz, but instead he scouts it. That factory still being very useful. Alive really so good with his factory floating around the map. He always knows what to check and when.
As you can see, right now the center of the map is in control for Oz. Alive is kind of cramped up inside of his base. I'm curious to see when he's going to take his fourth, as the second base for Alive is now mined out.
Yeah. Well, you know, I wonder if he's just going to go for the kill move here. He's got really good upgrades. He's got a good amount of supply, but, you know, Oz's army is still very frightening. If he gets just a few good Psy Storms off, which if he splits those High Templars up is very likely, then things will go badly.
What is he doing? What is he doing? Not watching the Stalkers there. Looks like he's debating trying to come in here for a sandwich of his own, and now he's on the run. The Templars are clumped together, so he has to be very careful about EMPs.
9 Templars, though, which is absolutely huge. And in fact, taking out a couple there with those ghosts and the snipes.
All right, he's continuing to push forward. Let's see. The Templars are out there. He wants to get a few storms off, and this is a good move. Just sending a few units out here to assassinate that Templar, but it failed as he backs up. This is really tough for both sides, this situation here. If you screw up in 1 or 2 clicks, you lose.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's actually. He
Oz
tricked
out of
Oz.
position.
Oz thinks he's in the middle of the map. He's not. He's going to come up here. He may try to gun down the expansion, but it'll also depend on whether or not he realizes the army is so far away.
And it looks like Oz running up from this side.
Oh no!
And this is just such bad news for him.
Yep.
He's lost that base and not threatening Alive's army quite yet. He's going to try to outmaneuver it and actually kill that army off. If he does, he's still in a good position in this game, but if he doesn't, he's just going to die.
Well, as long as he can get this army out of there, and in fact, I think if I look at it correctly, he could just pick up the medevacs and fly out. If he can keep this army alive and get out, he's going to have a massive lead. It looks like a surprise attack from the other side. He's now cornered him. Let's see if Alive's army is strong enough to survive. Oz's attack now microing them over to the left. Note the medevacs. He's not pulling out with the medevacs.
And the High Templars coming up, storming the remnants of the army, but they were a little bit too late. And it looks like Alive will clean up all of these units and the Archons.
Almost dead, everything Alive had.
His High Templars were just a bit too far away. If they were with his main army during that, he wins that battle. GG.
That was really interesting.
Alive coming through that open bracket and just dismantling Oz in those 2 games.
It was pretty cool to see that the posturing in the middle of the map.
Yeah.
And you could see there was this period where Oz, he fanned out his army to get ready to be intercepted so that he would have a good concave and win that fight. And instead, Alive faked him out and just went back up to the top and actually got the Nexus for free.
Yeah.
And from there,
I mean, as soon as he got the Nexus for free, Oz had to try to go up there, catch that army, and kill it off. Because you have to make him trade something for your economy, and he was way out of position to actually hit the economy of Alive.
JP, Rob, what are your thoughts?
Early on, I felt like Oz was doing everything really well, right? We saw him use his Stalkers and stop both of those medevac drops, and it just seemed like he was in awesome position. Yeah. And then when that army was out of position, Alive just capitalized immediately, and that just stopped everything.
Yeah, it was basically do or die time there for Alive. I mean, he didn't have a fourth base up and running, so he could really focus on the entire fight. Now, in that pool, Alive still has to play Grubby and then Rain, so I believe he'll be able to take out Grubby if he just took out Oz. And going up against Rain, that might be a little bit dicey, but I think he might be able to take that 2-1. So he's in a great position right now in Pool D.
It's interesting to see this all unfold.
Yeah, it's
Alive is so
great match there. I want to see if Alive can actually win this group. You know, the person last I checked that was winning the group is Parting, who is actually the next person we're going to be casting. He's going to be going up against Rain, actually the teammate of Alive. So that is going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to go ahead to a quick little break here.
Yeah, we're going to have a MLG Winter Arena recap, but when we come back, we're going to have some more awesome StarCraft 2 action here at MLG, so please stay tuned.